Hey, hey, hey. I am excited because I know that we didn't get to do our live streams before. So I want to go ahead and get started. If you are catching us on the replay, I just want you to type down replay below because we're going to dive deep into the lessons that I have learned while doing this work. And I am just super excited to be able to kind of let you know as I, continue to live in this life after narcissist. I definitely want to be able to show you the authentic version of what it really looks like and give you those tools to be able to get you ready for those relationships and establishing healthy and loving relationships. But first, we got to know exactly the mistakes that we've been making that kind of keeps us stuck in the same thing over and over and over. So I want to be able to dive deep into it. So please stay tuned for that. And just the last one, I know was the main thing that I just constantly would do. And so I'm glad the fact that you are here and we're going to make this happen. So stay tuned for that. So if you don't know who I am Samantha Saunders, a licensed professional counselor. So I am a trauma and toxic recovery coach. So I help Black and Brown women to be able to heal their trauma, rediscover who they are, to live a life that they love so they can establish healthy and nourishing relationships. And so the nitty gritty is that I help you break free from narcissistic and codependency relationships because I definitely want you to be able to feel like yourself and thrive in every relationship that you're a part of. So remember, if you are here live, let me know exactly where you're from, especially on the replay too. Let me know where you're from. And if you just identify with any of these that I'll be talking about today, because this is what's going to just kind of help with keep things engaged and know that if you have any questions that you can be able to get those questions answered, right? So ask questions if you need to. If you find something that you're like, I got a story for that, I want to be able to hear it because people really resonate with that, and I know I have stories of my own, but I want to be able to hear your stories as well. And so let's dive deep into the mistakes that I have learned so you can be able to not do the same things that I did, or you still might find yourself doing some, right? And so I want you to know that this is the things that I thought were considered love when really it was not. A lot of it was just losing myself in the relationship. And a lot of times what we do is that, especially within church and everything, we're so thinking about, okay, we need to be one, that we tend to think so much about what the other person wants when forget about what you want in those relationships. So I want you to be able to have a space to be able to be you in every relationship that you're in. So first, what we're going to talk about is the compromised values. So my number one mistake is that I would compromise my values consistently. So your values are things that are important to you. So I don't want you to be able to compromise on what's important to you or your non-negotiables. Like I want you to understand what those non-negotiables are. I know we talk about this within my programs where I kind of do activities to kind of really help. And I within my take up space challenges, my break up people pleasing program. But I want to be able to understand, for you to understand that know what your values are ahead of time and things are important to you, and know what things are your non-negotiables. Again, things that if someone does that you are not willing to budge on. So for example, for non-negotiable me is someone who smokes, right? So if that is non-negotiable for me, understand that if someone's like, oh, they want to go out, but there's someone who smokes weed on the side or anything like that, that wouldn't be something for me because that's my non-negotiable. And everyone's non-negotiable is different. So of course it'll be the same thing as mine, but just know what those are is what's going to be key because I didn't want to ever compromise of who you are as a person, what's important to you before you even met them. That's why I want you to know that now before meeting someone, or if you are already in a relationship, you just knowing what those values are. Number two, the mistake I made was putting my partner a priority over me, right? And so when I was doing this, putting my partner a priority over me, I really thought I was being flexible and making sure the person knew I was all about them and their relationship. But what we tend to forget is that you being in a relationship is what makes it just sustainable. You being in a relationship is what makes it the whole relationship, right? So you being yourself is going to be the important part here. So remember, and when you're in a relationship, I really reiterate this consistently, is that understanding that the person is going to be adding to your life. So you should still feel like you within it. If you feel like you can't be you, or if anytime you're doing something that you're not able to be yourself, then think about if that's something that you want to do. So you still want to keep doing things that you were doing before you even met them, and then in between they kind of fit, around your schedule, and you kind of fit around them because they're adding to your life, right? And if you resonate with any of these, let me know. Or if you feel like you've done any of these, I want to be able to hear it below, especially with replay viewers as well, live. I want to be able to hear from you too. If you resonate with any of this, the first one was compromise values. The second one was putting a partner priority over you. And the third one is going to be, is it flexible or you're putting yourself last? I really want you to be able to kind of ask yourself this, right? And let me know if you resonate with this, because I definitely was something that I was doing. I was trying to play the role of like, oh, I'm flexible. Like, okay, if you're not able to go out tonight, then maybe, I can't, I can't either. Or if they want to be able to go somewhere, but I'm not able to, trying to make sure that they're feeling satisfied more than even worried about me. So I was constantly kind of putting myself last, right? So I'm trying to seem like if I was the easy, unbothered, understanding, perfect partner when things were bothering me. And I want you to be able to speak up when things are bothering you. I want you to understand that you matter in the relationship just as much as the other person. Like, you don't have to pick and choose or think that. And a lot of times we've been kind of grew up in spaces where we feel like the man is important one, whatever the man wants is kind of keep the man thing. But I want you to know that what you want is important, just as important as this other person. So understand that you have value within this, within any relationship you're in. And don't think that being easy, unbothered, understanding, or perfect is going to make it seem like you're not being yourself. You're just being a version of who you want someone else to see you as, right? And so I'd rather you completely be yourself in the beginning of the relationship, rather than hopefully they, respond, or if I'm act just like them and they won't leave me. That's not you being you. And that's not fair to you or the other person. Okay? And I'm going to give you kind of two. So I'm giving 5 in total, just so you know. And I wrote this within my email as well, but I definitely wanted to go deeper into this when I wrote the email yesterday and that was sent out. I definitely want to give you tips when I send my emails out. If you don't know if you're not on my email list, get on my email list, bit.ly/Saunders, capital letters VIP. But I want also to know on number 4 that understanding my interests took a back seat. A lot of times it was so much, and I know we do this in people pleasing as well, but it was so much about what the other person wanted that I didn't really be able to fully show up in what I wanted for myself. And so I took an interest in what they wanted. The people, if the significant other, the boyfriend had loved sports. Oh yeah, I'm learning the team. Okay, I'm gonna watch it, trying to get to learn. Football is not my thing. So even in my relationship currently, even the person's about football, it's not my thing. I'm not gonna sit there and try to learn it. Okay, there'll be times where I'll visit and be able to kind of talk to him about this, but I'm not gonna just kind of lose my interest in things I enjoy doing because it's gonna be about that. So I want you to understand that do things you fully enjoy, right? Like, be you, let that fully emerge and continue getting to know yourself, even whether you're in a relationship or not. Growth doesn't stop just because you're in a relationship or because you met someone, right? And let me know, in the comments, if you had that happen where you felt like your growth is just stopped when you're with somebody. You want it to constantly be growing. Right. And so what we talked about, like, I'm about to go into this last one, which was one of the things I would used to do. I talked about compromise values, a mistake I made. I putting the partner priority over me. I talked about thinking about if it's flexible or you're just putting yourself last. Then I also discussed about your interests taking a back seat. And so the last one that I was kind of telling you about earlier was the fact that I was kind of keeping myself silent. And I'm talking about not just when it came to, wanting to go something to eat, but also I want you talking about don't keep yourself silent in the bedroom as well. Whether in the bedroom, whether in Just if something is really bothering you, do not keep yourself silent, because understand you're only hurting you. You are not hurting the other person by being silent. Okay. So I truly felt like I was keeping the peace, but when you say anything with keeping the peace, you're not fully showing up as yourself. You're showing up who you want them to be to avoid conflict. But I want you to know conflict doesn't have to be this bad thing. It's also someone getting to know who you are by letting you know this is what I don't like and what I don't accept. So I was only understand that when you do that, you're only making yourself show up small when you are not small within the relationship. And so I convinced myself that what was best was being silent, to not make them uncomfortable when it's not about that. Show up fully as you. And if something bothers you, I want you to talk about it. Talk about it. Silencing yourself only hurts you in the long run. And so I want you to understand what these mistakes that I made, I want you to know, and how you can just start being. The important part is just being authentically you in everywhere that you do go. So if you have any questions, know that I will be doing just kind of Q&A. If you have any questions, let me know below. Try to make these kind of short, that you kind of take some tidbits pieces and then kind of take away with it. If you want to hear anything else that you want us to be able to discuss or talk about, also let me know down in the comments so I can make sure, can I tailor this to you, since I'm going to be doing just kind of more live streams. So you kind of see my face. I can kind of get to know exactly what questions you have and things you're struggling with, so I can be able to kind of assist in that way within this group and this community. And what I'm doing is talking about in my Facebook community, intentionally thriving life after a narcissist. If you're not part of it, make sure you get into the Facebook group as well. So if you have any questions, let me know down below. I'll make sure to answer each one as I see it. And I will talk to you soon. You guys got this. All right.